penetrated 5 countries. Today it's the Grand Duchy of Luxembourg, and the riders face the next big test, the time trial. Hello and welcome to Luxembourg. Well, after 10 days of the Tour de France, the 179 survivors of this race now face their next big test. They leave the start house behind me here every 2 minutes. The leaders of the race, of course, going at the very end, and the last man to go, the yellow jersey of Pascal Lino. Now, it's true to say that Pascal will not win this year's Tour de France, so let's have a look now at the overall classification this morning amongst the riders we think will be the big challengers on the road to Paris later. This morning, Claudio Chiappucci is best placed in 6th position. Stephen Roche is 37 seconds slower. Greg LeMond, a 3-time winner, 55 seconds back. The world champion, Gianni Bugno, at 1 minute 30 seconds. The defending champion, Miguel Indurain, at 1 minute 59 back. Eric Breukink, 2 minutes 55. And Franco Coccioli, a former winner of the Tour of Italy, 2 minutes 57 seconds back. All of these men have won time trials, and because of that, the big tours before. Here's Paul Sherwin now to assess their chances today.
Each one of these riders has performed well in time trials over the years on different circuits and on different circumstances. However, I feel Claudio Chiappucci is one of the weakest time trialists of the contenders. But at the moment, he's in a position of strength as he leads the others. But with his incredible temperament as a fighter, he may still be at the top of the pack at the end of the day. The people's favourite, Stephen Roche, since his incredible season in 1987, has been swimming around looking for consistency. If he's found his old form and his back problem is not too severe, then he's one of the best time trialists in the world. If Greg LeMond was in the same position 2 years ago, I would say he had this Tour de France in his pocket. But today he doesn't know how his form is. At least at the end of the day, he should have a clearer picture. We haven't seen a lot of Gianni Bugno so far. Today is D-Day for him. He's based his whole season on winning the Tour de France. He must lay down the foundations for a future victory in this time trial. After dominating all his rivals in the prologue, Indurain has showed that the time trialling form which won him the Tour of Italy earlier this season is still there. He's hidden in the pack for a week now and can no longer shelter behind his teammates. He must lay his cards on the table. Last time we raced a time trial in Luxembourg, Eric Breukink was #1. However, since last year's withdrawal from the Tour, his ability has been in question. Today he may provide the answers for his future intentions. Franco Coccioli is not one of the best time trialists in the world, but with the excellent physical condition he has at the moment, he could produce a big surprise on a very tough circuit like this. In my opinion, I think we'll see Miguel Indurain in first place, a little bit further down Gianni Bugno in second, and probably Eric Breukink in third slot, announcing his return to a challenger in the Tour de France.
So, Miguel Indurain, the champion of France, winner of both of the time trials 1 year ago, is now on his way in the city of Luxembourg. And from this moment on, for him in this year's Tour, every second will count. Well, the route today, it starts at fairly high altitude, just over 1,000 feet. It's a very rolling road, and it in fact opens up on long stretches of motorway. It's rather like closing down the M6 motorway in Britain and linking it between England and Scotland, because that's what they've done here today. It's the main road that takes the race across into Germany, which has been closed. The riders also have some wild countryside, short hills, and it is a strong wind today. And the man who has set the leaderboard on fire from a very early start point today, the former French champion, Armand de las Cuevas, he rides on the Spanish Banesto team of Miguel Indurain. He was the fastest rider at 37 kilometres and still is at the moment, and at 47 kilometres, 2 of the time checks, coming to the finishing line with a time of 1 hour, 22 minutes and 31 seconds. So that's the time on the leaderboard. Britain's Sean Yates, who has 3 times finished 5th in a time trial in the Tour de France, and of course that creditable to say the least in 1988 when he set the Tour de France on fire with a record average speed when he won the stage between Liévin and Pascal on the borders of Belgium. Yates that year beating Pedro Delgado, Vincentini and a lot of the big stars of the Tour de France. Yates at the moment still on the leaderboard, but just slipping away now to 7th place overall. Well, while we watch here Eric Breukink having just made his start on the stage today. Sean Yates is now alongside me, and there's no better man to tell me about the difficulties of the course out there today. Sean.
Yeah, well, it's like a rolling course, I'd say. It's very, very fast for the first 25 kilometres with a strong tailwind. So you have to sort of save a bit, I think, for the later on when it gets pretty rolling and you have a headwind finish, which sorts the men from the boys.
Now, on the way out there, you've got this long stretch of motorway, which gives you a tailwind beginning. But once you leave that motorway, that's where the course is really hard, isn't it?
Yeah, we have a short cobbled climb around 40k, and then it's like rolling with headwind, and the last 15k is very strong headwind. So, that's where some big differences are made.
And the style of Robert Miller, normally a man of the mountains, having to do like everybody else today in the Tour de France and ride the individual test against the watch. Miller, having had an excellent opening week to the Tour de France, lying nicely placed in 24th position. And there's a little bit of cobblestones that we don't see too many of in Luxembourg, but look at this now. He's losing 3 minutes at the first check. And so Miller is going to drop away today, I'm afraid, despite the speed, 80 kilometers an hour, 50 miles an hour. And it's for this man, Paul, Claudio Chiappucci at the moment.
Well, for a man who isn't very good at time trialing, is going at a fine speed here, over 50 kilometers an hour. But this is one of the faster points on the circuit. We get a good chance to see the choice of equipment by Chiappucci today. He's using a spoked wheel in the front, that'll be 3 or a 4 spoke, and he's using a solid disc wheel at the back. But the man really is going fast. He wants to fight his way back up. He's got an advantage on the other leaders at the moment and wants to keep it.
And the situation, look at this now at the first time check for the big boys. Indurain is through at the best time, 23 minutes 10 seconds. He's over a minute clear of Alex Zula, the previous best time. As Andy Hampsten here continues on the course, he won't know that great ride that's now been done by Indurain. He could be heading to his another victory in the time trial today.
Hampsten well off the leaderboard as well. He's going to be over 3 minutes down at the moment. A big time deficit to lose before we go into the mountains, but the man really eating up the road at the moment is Miguel Indurain.
So here is Laurent Fignon, twice a winner of the Tour de France in 1983, 1984. He won both of those tours by virtue of his brilliance in the time trial. And here now is the caption again at 22 kilometers. Miguel Indurain is through. 23 minutes and 10 seconds. Greg LeMond in second place, conceding 47 seconds here. And Roach has just gone through, 2 seconds behind Greg LeMond. So the big loser here at the moment is Gianni Bugno, down there in the positions and losing 63 seconds. And here is the arrival of Sean Kelly. And it's not going to be a high finish for Sean. I don't suspect he'll worry too much about that because his form is good. He's still looking for the stage win. It might well come later in the Tour because he certainly has his tail up. And a fine round of applause for the grand old man of the Tour de France as Sean finishes with 1:29 dead, 45th position, and he concedes 6.5 minutes to the leader at the moment. Now out on the course, and Miguel Indurain is eating into the men ahead of him because this is Indurain, Paul, and he's bridging a gap here to his 2-minute rider. So that'll be Giancarlo Perini, I would think, the Carrera rider up the road in front of him. He really is riding. He's settled in so quickly today.
This man really has become the man of the time trials this last year. Look at the time there as we come up to the next check at 47 kilometers, 37 kilometers. He's going to go through in under 42 minutes. 41.51 is going to be the time, and he's so much faster. He's going to be 2 minutes faster than Gerard Rouet at that time check.
That is amazing. Now he hits the cobbled hill and dances away, and dancing away too, to big gains in the Tour de France today. And this is Gianni Bugno now coming up to his check here at 37 kilometers. And the second time of Rouet is already on the board, because the time of Indurain, 41 minutes 51 seconds, the best time, and it's well down on that. So Gianni Bugno is losing major time here to Miguel Indurain.
And Bugno is complaining he can't understand why Miguel Indurain is just going to count on the mountains and the time trials to make up his difference. As you see, he's gone down there 2 minutes behind Miguel Indurain. I think he's learning out today why Indurain is waiting for the time trial.
And so Greg LeMond are now coming through to his halfway time check. And remember that Bunyo has gone through 2 minutes 8 seconds slower than Miguel Indurain. Lemond is faring a little better than that because he's going to go through with the second best time. Greg LeMond pounding the gears, turning into that right-hand bend now. He'll just scrape inside the time of Gerard Rouet, so here's the closest challenger, it seems, to Miguel Indurain on the road.
As Lemond goes through there, he's 1:42 down on Indurain at the moment, but this morning he was just 1 minute in front of the man, so Indurain is really taking the leaderboard by storm today. He's going to turn everybody round, and we're going to see a totally different overall classification tonight if he can keep up this speed.
So all of the top riders still to finish in today's stage of the Tour de France, and there's still a long way to go yet. That gives us a chance to go now and catch up with our Gary Imlach.
Now, today was going to be the first of a series of updates on our featured rider on this year's Tour, Max Sciandri. Unfortunately, it's turned out to be the last as well, because Max abandoned on Saturday during the stage from Brussels to Valkenburg. Ironically, one of the stages he had his eye on to win. The problem was a persistent stomach bug, which was sapping his strength. Still, pulling out of the Tour is not a decision that any rider takes lightly, as Max explained to us when we caught up with him just before he flew home to Italy.
Big thing for me to stop, you know. I mean, the problems I have is going to be big in the next few days for me thinking about the Tour, you know, not being there and watching it on TV probably. And it's going to be quite hard, you know, but you just have to look ahead. You can't think about the past, you know. I mean, the Tour is over. I did my best I could, you know, till today.
You looked okay on the road. Was it a sudden decision?
It was just, yeah, I spoke a bit to the director, you know, and just now and then I had these stomach problems. Till I didn't eat, it was okay, but then all the time I eat, I had really bad problems. So when I had some problems near the feed zone, and we just decided with the director that it's better to pull out of the race.
Obviously, on Channel 4, the folks will have been tuning in, will have been disappointed. No way you could warn them in advance that it might happen. Any message for the folks in Bournemouth?
No, I'm just really sorry, you know, and I know they're enjoying it, probably watching every day the transmission on the Channel 4, you know, just getting to know what's happening. And I'm really glad that you picked me, you know, to follow me. It's just I really wanted to do well, win a race, you know, so everybody could have been happy, starting from myself and all my relatives and family. But for sure, I mean, I'm 25, you know, and this fourth year professional, I don't think there'll be no more occasion. I mean, there's plenty of time to catch up, you know, and it's just part of cycling, you know. I mean, there's good days and there's bad days. This is one of the bad days.
So a sad end to the Tour for Max, but I think he's too talented for us to have seen the last of him. And in fact, both his fans and his family should have the chance to see him in England fairly soon, because if all goes well, he'll have a couple of warm-up races to recover in Italy and then be over for the Kellogg's Tour of Britain and the Wincanton Classic. For the moment, though, let's rejoin the time trial action and Phil.
Well, thanks, Gary. This is Stephen Roach coming through now to the halfway point. There have been some stupendous times done by riders here at this point, and Roach is still holding on in there. He's going through the third best time for Stephen, conceding 1 minute 50 seconds as he starts up the cobble climb now, and the second part of the course to come. So there's still a long way to go in the Tour de France. The big men are nearly all through that halfway point now. So join us again in a couple of minutes. And welcome back, and as you come back, this is Miguel Indurain coming up towards the line, and this could be a tremendous ride because he is caught and passed Laurent Fignon. I wonder when that last happened in the Tour de France, if it ever did indeed. Look at this time by Miguel Indurain, the best man on the clock. He started very early this morning, Indurain's teammate Dilas Cuevas, but this time is going to annihilate that time. Miguel Indurain laying the foundations, I think, today for victory in the Tour de France, because he has come with a tremendous time. Fignon will not let him go. 1 hour 19:31 for Miguel Indurain, and he caught Laurent Fignon as well. And look at this, mobbed by the crowds and 49 kilometers an hour.
Unbelievably caught Laurent Fignon for 6 minutes in that time trial. He really has an incredible ride. It's going to be very close, I think, for Pascal Lino tonight to try and stay in the yellow jersey, because what a ride by Indurain. But Lino is doing an incredible ride himself. He's caught and passed Jens Heppner, the German rider who was lying in second place overall.
And here's the arrival of Gianni Bugno, second last year in the Tour de France. And his time a long way off that done by Miguel Indurain of 1 hour 19:31. Look at this, in just 65 kilometers, Indurain has taken all of this time out of Gianni Bugno. Bugno will not believe the time of Miguel when he gets to the finishing line, because Bugno is dropping away. He made a slow start, he seemed to come good in the middle, but he's fallen away now. And the world champion coming up to the line, Zenon Yaskula in third place with the time nearest to Bugno as he comes. But Bugno may even fall out and into fourth place here. That's what the time checks are indicating as Bugno comes over the line now. 1 hour 23, 12 seconds only. Third best time, concedes 3 minutes and 41 seconds to Indurain. The arrival of Greg LeMond now as he comes down to the finish. Bugno is in. He's conceded 3 minutes 41 seconds to Miguel Indurain. Greg LeMond, I think, it's fair to say, will be in the same bracket today, because he started off very quickly indeed, only conceding 47 seconds at the early checks, holding it at the second check. But it seems Greg too has had a hard ride over the second part of this course. Gianni Bugno's time is on the screen now, the computer picking that out, passing on to Zenon Yaskula. So LeMond has gone slower than Bugno. A final burst for the line.
As he comes to the line, Greg really has cracked over the last few kilometres of this race, but he's still keeping himself in contention for the second or third place at the moment. LeMond really riding well. He's a kind of rider over the next few days, I think we'll see, going into the attack again, because he knows the strength of Indurain. 1:23.35, fifth place for Greg, but 4 minutes away from the time of Indurain.
And back out onto the course now to Claudio Chiappucci, still wandering around the road a little bit here. The good time trialist goes straight as an arrow, but look at this. Claudio Chiappucci puts his head down and is wandering all over the place. The sign of a man, to me, Paul, who seems to have hit the wall.
I think he may well have started too quickly. That was an incredible ride for him over the first 22 kilometres. It may well now be that he started too quickly, and he has blown up towards the end, because he's disappeared off the leaderboard at the second time check, and we haven't got the third time check of Claudio Chiappucci, but he'll still fight all the way. Be interesting to see what time he comes through there, and he's trying to get down there, but he is wandering about a bit.
There's Pascal Lino. He's already caught Jens Heppner, and there is Heppner trying not to concede too much more time. But Heppner too is having a bit of a struggle on this climb.
It really is a hard climb as well. It's a motorway climb, so it's a steady gradient all the way up, and it really does take the strength out of the legs. I was talking to Sean Yates before, and he said he found this climb interminable, and he wondered if he would ever get to the top. When you get to the top, then you have the slight acceleration as you head down towards Luxembourg.
And here we come up towards the finish. It looks like it is Leonid Berrutia who's coming down the line here. And he's done a good ride today. This is the man that fell off. You see the bandage on his knee there from that crash he had yesterday. But at the time checks, he's been up amongst the leaders. And so he's developed a little bit of time trialing skill to try and retain a high overall position. But like everybody else, it seems, the second half of this course has been the watershed. And Leonid Berrutia is dropping away from the top 20 finishers here. Luc Leblanc is in 16th place, and that compares at the moment with the Spaniard's time. And he won't lose too much more time now as he comes up towards the line. So the Spanish rider home in 1:25.28 for 16th place just now. But not too far behind the arrival of Leonid Berrutia. We've got Stephen Roach, who almost caught him for 2 minutes. Great ride by Stephen. 6th place, but he concedes 4 minutes and 10 seconds to Miguel Indurain.
Lino still looking quite good there. There's the check at the 56 kilometre to go mark. Miguel Indurain was leading with 2 minutes and 41 seconds from De Las Cuevas, but Pascal Lino was 3 minutes and 16 seconds behind, and he needs to conserve 5 minutes and 33 seconds on the line if he can keep that yellow shirt, that yellow jersey for the next few days.
So he's going down, but he's going down with a great fight, is Pascal Lino. He still could be in yellow by the end of the day by a good minute if he keeps up his rhythm and doesn't crack over these last few kilometres. He will know exactly the ride of Indurain and his deficit to Indurain, because the car behind will be telling him by virtue of a loudspeaker on its bonnet. And so he knows what he's got to do to stay in yellow. And now at the finishing line, we've got Claudio Chiappucci coming in, and look at this, he has blown in these last few miles. 9th place on the screen, that of Pedro Delgado, and Chiappucci is going to be slower than that. Now it's Philippe Louvio, former champion of France. He's next up on 11th place. Chiappucci is losing a lot of time today, and Greg LeMond too has well beaten him in the time trial. Sean Yates holding 12th place, and Chiappucci falling now behind Sean Yates's ride and Perini. So Claudio Chiappucci today, he really has cracked in those final few miles.
I think he's paying the cost of all the attacking he's done over this first week. He is a man who's a temperament. He will attack whenever he can, but when it comes to the time trial, it's the day of truth. Chiappucci's 1:24.57, 16th place, 5 minutes and 26 seconds behind Miguel Indurain.
Well, these time gaps are turning out to be enormous, and Claudio Chiappucci conceding over 5 minutes today to Miguel Indurain. As we look down at Pascal Lino, this is the situation for the yellow jersey. Lino still conserving 2 minutes 17 seconds of his lead, because Indurain has pulled all of the rest of his deficit back today. So he can still keep on to that yellow jersey. He's still got 2 minutes 17 seconds of his original gains over Miguel Indurain in hand. It's a good job though, Paul, that he had such a big lead at the start this morning.
Well, definitely, because otherwise Indurain would be at the top of the leaderboard already, but he could still lose that 2 minutes over the last 10 or 12 kilometers, because they're very, very difficult, and Indurain finished rapidly. Lino still looks pretty good though. He's rocking his shoulders a little bit. He'll know exactly what he's got to do. He's calculated himself, he's worked himself a good time schedule to try and conserve the yellow jerseys. We look here at Jesper Skibby, who's now just 1 place in front of Lino on the road, because Lino's caught Hebner.
And Steve Bauer comes up towards the finishing line. He, like everybody else, in big trouble today. Bauer, any thoughts he had of taking yellow are well gone now, because he's not even going to beat Pascal Lino with a time of 1:27.58 on the line, 52nd place, and losing over 8 minutes today. And as Lino comes up towards the line now, the time 1:25.04, he's going to well beat that. It looks to me as though he will keep his overall lead tonight by the thick end of 2 minutes, but it's a long way up that finishing straight. He's caught Hebner well early on the course, soon after the halfway. Hebner's hung in there and kept him in his sights. He's done nothing wrong that will warrant a penalty, but Hebner has had no competition against Lino, and nobody has had any competition against Miguel Indurain. As the men beneath tick away, as Lino's time slows down, he's still looking to keep the yellow jersey. He'll do that today. Lino's time 1:23.37, 6th place, concedes only 4 minutes. He'll keep yellow by about 2. And the result tonight of the time trial, Miguel Indurain taking just 1 hour 19 minutes and 31 seconds to complete the 65 kilometers, 3 minutes quicker than his teammate Armand de las Cuevas, and Gianni Bugno, the world champion, 3 minutes 41 seconds back. Greg LeMond losing 4 minutes 4 seconds, and of the other top names, Pascal Lino, he concedes 4 minutes 6 seconds. Stephen Roach among them there, losing 4 minutes 10 seconds. Well, you wouldn't know what Miguel Indurain was thinking on the podium tonight, his face giving nothing away, but at least Stephen Roach thinks he can be beaten.
Stephen, a good ride, but you still lost 4 minutes 10 seconds to Miguel Indurain. What do you make of that time trial ride?
Well, it means I'm like 4 minutes 9 seconds behind Miguel Indurain.
A phenomenal ride by the man, though.
Yeah, it's definitely there's hardly ever been such big gaps between riders. But then Miguel Indurain, this is a tailor-made circuit for him. Like, we just boulevard all the way, you know.
Is he still catchable then?
Oh yes, of course.
Well, Stephen Roach tonight on the overall classification is in 4th position, 4 minutes and 15 seconds behind Pascal Lino, who retains his leader's yellow jersey at least a little while longer. Miguel Indurain now moves up into 2nd place, 1 minute 27 seconds back. All of the fancied names today losing time to the big man. On the podium tonight, Pascal Lino should look a little concerned, but he seems quite happy as he receives yet another yellow jersey. Well, what a great day in the Tour de France here in Luxembourg. We'll leave you now with these pictures of Miguel Indurain. He won both time trials in the Tour last year. He's now cruising, it seems, towards the next yellow jersey in this race. This is how he burned his rivals on the streets of Luxembourg today. Goodbye.